12 years ago this week, on May 5th, 2002, the World Wrestling Federation officially got the F out and became World Wrestling Entertainment. I know, a dark day for many of you guys. So here's what happened, because I still get questions about this to this day. So let's just lay the whole story out here about how we got to this point. The World Wildlife Fund predated the World Wrestling Federation, okay? The Wildlife Fund was founded in 1961. In 1963, Vince Sr. and Toots Mondt split from the NWA, and they created the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. That was the full name of the promotion until 1979 when they shortened it, okay? This is the WWF. So in 79, they shortened the name. Now it's just WWF. I'm a little fuzzy on what happened in the years that followed because the two groups, they coexisted with the same initials until 1994, when they reached an agreement on how Vince McMahon would use the WWF initials. Why it took until 1994, I'm not sure. My guess would be that the Panda people had already filed a lawsuit against them over the name many years earlier, or maybe they threatened to, but that's just a guess. Anyway, they reached an understanding that Titan Sports would stop using the WWF initials and do everything in their power not to even speak the initials. Don't even verbally say the initials on TV. Okay, I guess they were okay with them verbally saying World Wrestling Federation and spelling it out, because then there could be no confusion in the marketplace about what they were talking about. I don't know. I guess they were worried if Vince McMahon went on TV and said WWF, people would be confused and they would think they were watching, whales and walruses fucking or something. I don't know. So in exchange, the wildlife folks agreed not to sue them or make them change their logo. Well, obviously, Vince kept saying WWF on television for many more years and completely ignored the agreement. So fast forward until 2000, Panda people said, enough's enough. They filed suit against WWF in a UK court, claiming that it's unfair trade practices. They alleged that they violated their earlier agreement. In August of 2001, the court ruled in favor of the wildlife people, and WWF filed an appeal in October of that year, okay, because they weren't happy with that ruling. I believe the appeal was still pending in May of 2002, when WWF decided to just drop the appeal and go through with changing its name. Very quietly, overnight, they changed the website from WWF.com to WWE.com. All references were changed. Clearly, they had decided sometime earlier to give up the good fight and just make the change. My understanding has always been that the UK court ruling would have only applied to international use of the initials. So in other words, WWF, they could have continued to market themselves as the World Wrestling Federation here in the States, but elsewhere in the world they couldn't. And obviously, that would be very confusing to call yourself one name here and another name somewhere else, so they just said, the hell with it, let's just change the whole name. That didn't end things between the two sides. Panda people tried to get hundreds of millions of dollars in damages, but that got shot down. I think WWE claimed the wildlife folks were trying to extort them out of money, which, may be true, but it seems pretty clear the Wildlife Fund had the WWF initials first, and that Titan violated the agreement, so they're kind of right. I'm guessing WWE paid them a whole bunch of money in the last year or two with the new network launching, because now they can air the old Scratch logo from the Attitude Era and verbal WWF references on the network without blurring them or muting them. They couldn't do that before. All those DVDs with the blurs and the muting, it was terrible. Thankfully, now they don't have to do that, although I'm still very confused about some things like what's allowed and what's not allowed, because, Legends House started airing on the network a few weeks ago. And I think the first two episodes of Legends House, Jimmy Hart was wearing some kind of WWE shirt that had, I think, the old Scratch logo on it, or maybe the old box letter logo on it, which at one time was fine. That box letter logo from the mid-90s New Generation era was fine. Now, all of a sudden, I think they blur it, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if that's a case where Legends House was filmed 2 years ago, before WWE reached, let's say, whatever agreement they reached with the Panda people, saying, listen, we're launching a network. How much money do you want? We'll pay you, and please let us use this without having to blur it. It's possible they taped this show before they reached an agreement with the Wildlife Fund, or maybe there's still certain logos they're not allowed to use. I'm just not sure. But that hopefully gives you a better sense of exactly what went down between the two sides.